Let's talk about your money now. And the mobile money scene can be described as a two-horse race between products developed by banks and those by telecommunication companies. However, mobile money has allowed financial institutions to offer services faster and with ease. And it is on that note that I'm joined in studio by George Njuguna, the Chief Operating Officer from the Housing Finance, who is going to help us delve into this topic. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for gracing our program this afternoon.
Thank you.
Let's begin with matters to do with online banking security. And what security measures have you placed from your end to ensure that you protect clients' information?
So essentially, all the players in the ecosystem actually need to come into play. So there's the financial institution, there's the various networks and infrastructure that we ride on, and then there is the clients. So one piece is to really focus a lot on client education and staff education. That ensures that should something come across them as a vector, what we'd call a vector of attack, through their side, they're able to counter it and realize that this looks suspicious. On our side, it's just having multiple levels of encryption, what we call two-factor authentication. So you don't just put in your password, but you also have what we at times call an OTP, a one-time PIN. So you must go through two levels before you get onto the systems. And then continuous monitoring. So we have a security operations center that people are actually looking 24 hours a day through what is going through, and anything suspicious is escalated to the right offices for immediate action.
All right. Over the past few weeks, we've seen or we've had cases of hacking, mostly when it comes to mobile money. So the question I want to put to you this afternoon is, how safe is a client's information or data according to that perspective?
Yes, so essentially, so I spoke about the ecosystem. So then you also have the telcos who some of the breaches have originated, as you've seen, from things like SIM swaps and those type of attacks. So it's really ensuring that every single player, the financial institutions, we're now collaborating more, talking about this, realizing that data security is not an area that we need to compete on. We can actually share information. So if one institution has had a breach, you're able to ensure that you can all come together and counter it from happening in your institution. Conversations are also ongoing with the various telco operators to see how to improve what's already in place. So I think a lot of collaboration happening, but also a lot of systems, ways that you can do proactive detection and responses without waiting until after the weekend or morning before you can take action.
Okay, let us now look into matters to do with reaching the unbankable population. What strides have you made from the housing finance to ensure that the unbankable population has been adequately covered?
Okay. So I'll take you back a bit. So we're no longer using housing finance. So we rebranded in 2015 to HF Group, with our financial arm being referred to now as HFC Limited, which does the financial services piece. So essentially, we've been aspiring to move into full service banking. Now, reaching the unbanked really requires you to do it much differently. With our 22 branches, we are not able to do it. So we decided to move to digital. So essentially through mobile banking services, how we can reach them, ride on other services that other players may have who are much closer to the clients, but more so ensure that we are offering a client the full services. So some people offer loans alone, some people offer you money transfer, but we are giving you the full bouquet. And I think one thing that's very essential is savings. I think a lot of times people end up focusing on giving a customer a loan, but once they've gotten the return they wanted from the loan, how can you get them into a savings culture? So empowering you through our new app called HF Whizz. HF Whizz allows you to also save your money, to be able to even target it towards specific things that you want to do. It allows you to get a full view of where your money is going. For example, we have a pie chart that shows you how much of your money goes to entertainment, how much of it goes to food, how much of it goes to shopping. Then you can be fuel, airtime, friends and family. So you can look at that and we can guide you and say, well, if you took 10% from here and 10% from here, we can guide you on the home ownership journey or achieving other dreams that you have.
What about the rural people who come from deep down there in the counties, Chini?
Yes.
How do you capture that market?
So essentially for them is we are going down there. So actually the last few weeks we've moved way out of Nairobi, hitting various towns around Kenya, Kakamega, for example, just going there and being able to take our product. And of course, there's the app, and we also have a USSD proposition. So where in places where people may not have smartphones, although been quite impressed to see the growth of smartphone penetration in Kenya, our app is quite light. And then being able to now leverage on USSD for people who can't. We believe that every single Kenyan, we should have the opportunity to have their dreams made possible. Essentially, we've been making dreams possible for 52 years in terms of home ownership. But we now want to make dreams possible in terms of to the mass market. Not everybody's been able to get a mortgage, but the people who've gotten it, their lives have changed. They're able to hand over something to their children and great-grandchildren. But we believe there's a lot more that we can make possible by getting them onto our platform.
Interesting. Now let us look at uptick now. And over the past few years, we've seen a very huge appetite in Kenya for mobile money.
Yes.
What can you say, what can you attribute that huge appetite to?
So I believe, first of all, as Kenyans, we're very entrepreneurial. I think we also like to take risks, and we like to try new things out. I think quite adapt to technology. And also we have a very, very big generation that is below the age of 35. Now you find them, the millennials, they were born into mobile fast, technology fast. So they don't want to go to a bank, they don't want to go to a branch, and they really just want to get whatever they want at the tip of their fingers. And that's why our first entry platform was the mobile phone for our digital financial services. But also you find quite a lot of role has been played by the telcos in terms of ensuring so many Kenyans are on their network and they're able to do mobile money. And so people want things quick, they want it instant. They're a generation that is so akin to technology, easy to adopt. So even as we've been able to roll out our application, we've also seen so many people trying it out, testing, getting on board, and finding it quite easy to navigate the menus. Because I believe Kenyans are quite akin. They are big on Facebook, they're big on Twitter. Internet penetration is the highest on the continent. So all those factors coming together, and then the entrepreneurial spirit and the SMEs that are growing, the youthful hustler, as we call it, and micro-entrepreneur. You need to find ways to get money and to push money across the country quickly, and that's why I believe mobile money services come into play.
Now, speaking of the ease of using mobile money to send mobile phones to send money and actually to transact business, do you think this huge uptake of mobile money in Kenya would actually lead to, for lack of a better word, the phase-out of banking halls?
I believe it's an interesting question. I think the bank of the future is a different bank. I think banking halls will transition to become more of very advanced type of services that perhaps you cannot be able to be offered on a mobile phone. So services that require you to have conversations face-to-face, to ask so many different questions, but slowly, even so many of those begin to get automated. So those centers become more of sales and advanced service centers, but not the regular transactions. So most of the transactional activity, be it cash related, be it sending money from one person to another, be it sending basic requests, like asking for a certain tool, a new card, asking for a new account to be created, those things are moved. So on our platform, for example, customers no longer need to come to any HF branch to open an account. You open it right on the app. Simple steps, it takes less than 5 seconds. You have a new HF account. If you want to deposit money, again, you do it right on the application. If you want to move money to another bank, to another individual, if you want to move money within a HF ecosystem, all those services are happening right on the app. So no need for you to come to the banking hall for any of those anymore.
Before we look about technology, as you said, it's easier for you now to open an account on your phone. And we've seen Kenya advance as a market leader when it comes to mobile money. We have beat very many countries on that. What makes you think that Kenya has that these other countries don't have, that has made us stand out as a leader in terms of mobile money?
Well, I think we've taken a lot of bold steps. I also believe the regulators have been provided an environment that has allowed innovation to flourish, especially around mobile money and digital technology. There's also been there's a lot of education that's taken place in our advanced institutions. Getting software developers from our institutions is not difficult anymore. So you have the human resource part that is amazing, a lot of brilliant people, especially young people. The team that worked on our mobile application with us, young guys, I think they must all be below 35, very smart guys, get it, worked with our team on it. Then you have the regulation piece that's there. Then you have the mass market that is really looking for an easy way of doing business, and the youthful population. But I believe when all these come together, you then begin to find yourself propelling digital innovation at a much faster rate.
Let's talk about matters to do with technology now.
Yes.
And what role do you think technology has played when it comes to the uptake of mobile money in this country today?
I have to go back to a time when we used to, when I was in the early 2000s, when I was entering into technology, we used to have modems. And when you'd hear a certain sound, like screeching sound, you know the connection is happening. Yeah. Fast forward 5 years, 10 years after that, we now have fiber. We have 3G, 4G across many of our cities. But I think when we got proper internet services, that was really, really key, because now you're able to communicate better over technology platforms that have already been laid out that you just need to plug in. But also we've seen the growth in a number of new things that have come into play. For example, cloud computing. Before, somebody had to buy so many different servers and storage, spend a lot of money on what we'd call CapEx, capital expenditure, to buy it. But now you have cloud computing where people have pulled all these resources together, and they're able to offer it to you as a service, as a subscription. So that means you don't need to wait years for some server to be put together for people to plug in. It's now available. Then the ways that integration is done, we are in what we call the generation of APIs, application programming interfaces. So essentially, anybody can come up with an application and say, here's my API, connect to me, I'm ready to do business with you. And that has also helped to propel this to a large extent.
Okay, let us talk about the future now. And what does the future hold in terms of innovations in the banking sector right here in Kenya?
Okay. I believe more and more we're going to see, I believe this year is going to be something we've been talking about in our boardrooms. This is going to be the year of the battle of the apps. If everybody is going to be, at least financial services, is going to be releasing a new app. And even people who are not in financial services, in insurance, people who are in, perhaps even on your end, people are going to, I think we've seen some of the stations releasing new apps for people to get contacts. So I believe apps are going to be a very, very key space. I believe we're going to start to see more and more focus on data security and how data is being protected and how customer information is kept safe. So a lot of focus there, a lot of insights will be going and collaboration in the market. But again, also we're going to see people, I believe, pushing the envelope a bit more, tapping into cloud services, perhaps even some on distributed ledgers, looking at different ways that people can operate than the way they've been doing. I think we still have a lot of cash in our economy, and we need to find ways that people can do transactions cashless. So I think a lot of collaborations are going to be in the offing, because everybody is going to be working to get ahead and to get this customer captured and ensure that your app is on the first phase of the mobile phone.
Let us talk about matters international, matters global. Do you think we're likely to see great innovations in the global sphere when it comes to banking sector?
Yes, one of the interesting things is in terms of money transfer, some of the big global players are starting to experiment on blockchain technology and how they can move money between banks, between geographies, using blockchain. So we do expect to see more of that. I think technology has permeated every single aspect of our lives. In some markets, what we call IoT, Internet of Things, is really tapping, where you can get your fridge to tell you that you are short of food, and it automatically orders it. Now, we need to see how those things can be broken. Now, I met someone who told me they put an IoT type of application onto a dustbin. So when the dustbin gets full, the person who's supposed to come pick the trash is sent an alert. So, but I believe we have real problems in Kenya and in Africa that technology can assist to solve. But it really is not just technology on its own. It's having people who have a mind and heart to develop the country, the economy, to help people, putting their minds towards using technology in the right way. If that's not the focus, technology on its own, it's just probably like just having a really cool car that nobody can operate. But if it's designed and targeted towards transforming lives, that will be the real impact and difference.
Okay, back to, I actually found it interesting that somebody can put an IoT on a dustbin. When it gets full, somebody gets a text message to come and clear it out. Yeah. But moving back to the country today, we see that close to 25% of Kenya's GDP goes through mobile money platforms. How do you think this sector is relevant to the country's growth?
It is. I mean, essentially when one of the big telcos was down some weeks ago, it almost seemed like it was in a crisis. Everybody was impacted. Essentially, mobile money has become, I believe, the most preferred and the most transformational way of moving value between one individual to another, sometimes even at a corporate level. So essentially, we as an economy, we have to embrace it. We have to ensure availability is always there. We have to ensure the security is there. We need to have the right collaborations between the banks, the telcos, and the regulators to ensure that we are not stifling growth, but we are doing it in a very safe manner for the consumer as well as the institutions and the shareholders behind them.
Finally, as we wind up, in this crowded field, why would you decide to venture in mobile banking through the development of an app? And I want you to answer me that as we wind up because of time.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, we looked at the market and we realized that nobody is offering fast and simple services. Found some of the apps are so crowded. Some of them speak to just a certain specific segment. They're probably built for a very sophisticated type of consumer. So we looked at it and said, how can we change this? We're going to ensure that everything you begin on the app ends on the app. We're not going to do more than 3 steps. And it's not going to take more than 7 seconds, including getting a loan. So we ensured that the journey, we re-engineered our processes and ensured that the journey is going to be the simplest possible to the consumer and the fastest possible. I'm very happy to report that our app is now #1 on iOS, and it's #4 on the Google Play Store. So essentially the market is telling us that fast and simple banking is what they're looking for. They're not looking for you to just take everything you have, all the physical manual processes, and dump them on an app. Give them things that are relevant to them. Allow them to fulfill it, make it easy, because people don't need to spend a lot of time doing their banking. People just need to have what is there and necessary for them to complete it. But more so, I think one of the features that the market has loved the most is our focus on personal financial management. Give people that view of where their money is going so that they can become their own financial advisors and be able to direct their money where they would prefer most of it to be going. So I'd also ask you, Kenneth, to download HF Whizz, try it out, get an account, and spread the love.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. We'll be discussing more about that after the show. Dear viewer, that has been Business Insight. That has been Business Insight on this first day of August 2018. I hope you've had great insights on the mobile banking sector in the country. And as Bwana George Njuguna told us, that your money would be safe with the HFC app. Good afternoon. My name is Kenneth Kazungu.